Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we are finally talking about the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. This is one of their holiday releases and I ordered it as soon as it launched. I've been testing it out for a few weeks because I really wanted to try to wear most of the shades, test them out in life so that I can give you a real thorough review. There are a lot of shades in here. Of course, I'm wearing the palette on my eyes, so I'll give you a quick tutorial towards the end of the video. I'm also going to do swatches. First, let me just give you a little bit of product info to start. The Gingerbread Spice palette is limited edition, as are pretty much all of their holiday releases. So this will only be around for the holidays. It is currently available from the Too Faced website. It's also on Ulta and Sephora's websites. Like all of the palettes that are this chocolate bar size, this is retail priced at $49 US. The outer packaging is tin and the palette has a magnetic closure. I can't be the only one that loves that sound. So satisfying. The cover art is so stinking cute. I just love these cute Too Faced palettes. A lot of the details are raised. I like the little border that looks like icing. There's a little gingerbread man that reminds me of the guy from Shrek. He also appears on the inside and it says "Bite Me," which is so like tongue-in-cheek Too Faced humor. Some people are probably offended by that. I am not. When we take a look inside, there are 18 eyeshadow shades. 8 of these shades are matte, 8 are shimmer or metallics, and then there's one shade that's a satin. This deep purpley red is a satin shade, and then the one right above it called Oh Snap is one of those classic Too Faced mattes with glitter inside. The shade names are printed inside next to the pans, and this is scented. It's not the typical chocolate bar scent. It has a gingerbread cookie scent. It's sort of like a spiced vanilla. It's sweet, it's yummy, it's not too overpowering. I don't think that the scent is as powerful on this as on the peach palettes. I know a lot of people are sensitive to fragrance in makeup, so just beware. This is scented. I'm going to show you some swatches of this palette now. I am going to do both finger and brush swatches. I'll be swatching on the back of my hand with no primer. The finger swatches will be on top and the brush swatches will be below. For my brush swatches, as always, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using the Vera Monocolor switch. Here are the swatches of the top row of the palette. Just a reminder, the finger swatches are on top and the brush swatches are below. First, we have a matte off-white called Powdered Sugar. Next, a shimmery champagne called Spiked Eggnog. This is a bright hot pink matte called Gumdrop. A nice toasty, warm, orangey brown matte called Gingerbread. A really intense yellow gold called Warm and Toasty. This is one of my favorite shades in the palette. And lastly, a metallic purple called Ooh Burn. This one I've experienced quite a lot of fallout from. I don't know if you can tell from the swatch, but there is a decent amount of fallout, but the coverage with the brush swatch is pretty impressive. This is the middle row of the palette. First up, we have Frostbite Me. I was really hoping that this one would be more intense than it is. It shows up okay, but I wanted it to be like pow in your face, and it's a little bit more subtle than I expected. Next, a warm pale pink matte called Looky at My Cookie. A bright medium orange matte called Spice is Nice. This is another one of my favorites. This is the matte with glitter. It's called Oh Snap. Then a metallic reddish bronze called Bake It Till You Make It. And lastly, a metallic olive green called Spice of Life. Here's the last round of swatches. This is the bottom row of the palette, and this is where we start to see the brush application get really hit and miss. This pale baby pink matte shade is called Sugar Daddy. Then we have a purple matte called Figgy Pudding, which you can see applies really, really nicely with the finger, but is Streak City with the brush. So when I use this on the eye, I apply it with my finger and then just blend out the edges with a brush. We have a bright metallic red called Hot Toddy. This is that deep brown satin called Reindeer Paws. a nice medium matte brown. This one is Gingerbread Latte. And lastly, I'm so sad about how this applies with a brush. This is a very neutral bronze called Spiced Rum, and it just doesn't even go on with the brush at all, sadly. It's a beautiful color. Quite a few people have asked if the Gingerbread Spice palette has the same shades as this Good Sport palette from the ColourPop Fall Edit. There are definitely some similar shades. I'll throw up a little swatch comparison picture here for you. When you actually swatch these shadows out side by side, the only ones that are really similar, like dupe status similar, are the same shades that you probably already have in other palettes anyway, like the shimmery champagne, the like warm matte shades. They did go in a similar direction color story wise, but the actual colors that are chosen are really not that similar when you see them side by side. Yes, there's this gold, green, purple type of vibe to both of them, but the Good Sport palette has a lot more in your face and less neutral shades, and the Gingerbread Spice has a lot more like safe shades. So definitely similar color stories, but not dupes in my opinion. There's also a lot of other factors to keep in mind that makes me believe these palettes really aren't competing with one another. Price. The Too Faced palette is a lot more expensive. It also has a lot more shades. It has a mirror. The ColourPop palette has completely different branding. Aesthetically, it's not very holiday. It's gonna appeal to a different clientele. It's also less expensive. It's not scented, so that's great for those of you that are sensitive to fragrance and makeup. Overall, I do think it's a good idea to compare these, but I don't think they're that similar in practice. They're only similar in theory. I'm definitely glad I have both. I feel that I get a different vibe and a different look when I use each of these palettes. Do I think that everybody needs both? No. Do I think that one of these two palettes will fit everybody? Pretty much. Okay, now that you've seen all the swatches, let's jump into the tutorial and I'll wrap up all my thoughts on the Gingerbread Spice palette at the end. I'm starting off by priming my lids with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I'm going to set that eye base with the off-white matte shade from the Gingerbread Spice palette called Powdered Sugar. Then for my crease shade, I'm taking Gingerbread Latte and I'm building that into the crease for a nice warm matte transition. I'm going to do a lot of oranges and golds with this look. Next, I'm going to build a little bit of depth onto the outer corner using the matte shade called Gingerbread, and I used a flat brush for this, just really building that on the outer half of my lid. Next, I'm going to take the bright yellow gold called Warm and Toasty, and using my fingertip, I'm packing that all over the rest of my lid. Then I took a little bit of the shade Bake It Till You Make It, also on my finger, and tapped that into the spots where the gold and the matte brown meet. Then I went back to Gingerbread Latte and I used a small flat brush to put that right along the lower lash line. And for my inner corner highlight, I added Spiked Eggnog. Then I curled my lashes and added some of my L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara to finish my look. I absolutely love the way that this eyeshadow look turned out. It goes perfectly with this warm mustardy sweater that I have on, and it's just so fall and festive and warm. I really love it. Overall, I'm very happy with this palette. I love the theme. I think this is so cute. I love the scent. I love the color story. It's adorable. It smells good. It's fun. It's a little bit whimsical. It's very holiday appropriate. And I think it's pretty balanced as far as neutrals and colors. So I know I'm going to be able to get a wide variety of looks. This is the kind of palette I could travel with. I could do everyday, very neutral toned down eyes. I could do really fun, bright, colorful looks. And I could do some more deep, sultry, like evening appropriate looks. So overall, color scheme wise, I'm very happy. There are a couple shades that I feel are a little bit repetitive and I think could have been replaced. For example, Powdered Sugar, Sugar Daddy and Looky at My Cookie, those are all kind of doing the same thing for me. I could live without this Sugar Daddy shade. I would love to see like a mustard yellow matte in here instead. Same goes for these medium warm browns. I think Gingerbread Oh Snap and Gingerbread Latte are all, again, doing sort of the same thing for me. I would get rid of Oh Snap. I just don't like mattes with glitter in them. This one's actually not terrible performance-wise, but I don't think it's really necessary in here. It would have been great to see an olive green matte or maybe a really dark purple matte instead, or even a shimmery pink, something like that would have just added a little bit more something to this palette and made it a little bit less repetitive. I also think that these two deeper shimmers on the end, the dark shimmery bronze, this dark shimmery brown called Spiced Rum and the dark shimmery purple called Ooh Burn, those are a little bit too close for me, and those were both underperforming shades in my opinion. When it comes to brush application, the purple shade just had a lot of fallout, but it actually applied pretty well with a brush. Spiced Rum, I absolutely have to apply this with my finger. Just nothing happens with a brush, which is pretty sad because I really like this shade and I think it works well with a lot of the other colors in this palette. Formula-wise, this just didn't really work out well for me. I've still used it, I'm still gonna use it. I just wish that it was as high quality as the other metallic shades in the palette. Same goes for Frostbite Me. When you see this in the pan, you think that is gonna be a crazy, intense, super shimmer kind of color. I was expecting sort of like, what's the shade in the White Peach palette? Peach Ice. I love that shade. I love that as an inner corner highlight. And I wanted this Frostbite Me shade to be that sort of intensity. I didn't have the same issues with fallout or it not adhering to a brush. It just wasn't as like poppin' as I wanted it to be. So a couple things in here that I didn't really love, a couple things that I would change, but overall definitely happy with this purchase. I'm still gonna recommend it. I think that the quality of the matte shades and the majority of the metallic shades just far outweigh those couple of shades that didn't really work for me. Not a perfect palette, but still a thumbs up for me. I wanna know what you think about this palette. Is it on your wish list? Do you like these colors? Do you think you'll be picking this one up? Leave a comment and let us know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. If anybody wants to hate on me for doing too basic of a look, first of all, I've been doing a lot of like forcing myself to do colorful looks from palettes when I review palettes because I know that everybody doesn't want to see just like a neutral look all the time, even though that's what I like. Second of all, I used a bunch of my favorite shades from this palette and I'm basic, so I like the basic shades. Third of all, I was inspired by this sweater. I love this color and I did my eyeshadow to match my sweater and I'm not gonna apologize for it. And lastly, if none of those other things got you, this is gonna get you. My son brought me this flower today. He went outside to play with my husband and he came back in and he said, "Mommy, I have a surprise for you. I got you flowers." And he handed me this dandelion and it was the sweetest, cutest thing ever and I love it. So this helped inspire my yellow look today as well. Thanks, buddy. It's my favorite flower now. You can hear my dishwasher in the background, can't you? I think you can. Oh well, you gotta do dishes, you know what I'm saying? This inner corner highlight is honestly distracting. It's so bright, I love it. 18 shades, that's a lie. There are 18 shades. Counting. Okay, good. I'm good at it. It's fine. Whatever. If you only knew what a mess this place actually was. You just see the like one clean part, but it's super messy in this room. It's pretty ridiculous. I just want to swatch, okay? Can you stop barking? Thank you. That's wonderful. Anyway, enough of that. Huh? I think my camera's gonna die. Will I ever do cute hair for a video? Probably not. Sounds like a lot of work. This is what you get. What you see is what you get. And this is what you see, apparently. I'm so addicted to this coffee gloss. I just keep applying it and applying it and applying it. Okay, calm down. All right, okay then. my man.